This story was sourced from Tales of Celtic Lands by Caitlin Matthews, but I retell it from the Cailleach's perspective. Pagans recognised the Cailleach as a creator goddess. She was the spirit of the land, the seasons, and the wild. You can see from this story how the church sought to diminish that. I tell it from the Cailleach's perspective. There is a tale which tells I was one of 9 sisters back when the world was born, but for eons we lived happily before the people came. Whenever we felt old age creep upon us, we would go to our well. But the spring bubbled up within it, the waters of youth, and once we had drunk, we would be renewed again. But when the people came, they were more than a match for us. They used up our water, so scarcely enough remained at the well to renew us. They say my sisters and I fled to the mountains to escape these people and lived sad, secret and solemn up there in the shrouded peaks. When we felt the pain of old age in our bones, we were forced to draw lots to drink the water, for there was by then only enough for one of us to drink. So every century or so, only one lucky sister would visit the spring. All the others went without, and one by one, my sisters perished. They did not die as people die. Rather, they would sit very still, looking out over the lochs and the mountains, and slowly their stillness would make stone of them, until only I was left alive. And soon there was not even enough water left for my renewal, and I grew so weak and so withered that I could no longer fend for myself. So I started stealing maidens to serve me, riding out in the gales and the mist, and seizing them to fish for me, to weave my clothes, to brush my wisps of hair. And each maiden, being human, would soon grow old and die. And so old was I that their lifetimes seemed but a few days to me. And still I lived on, and winter lived on with me. And that winter seemed an eternal shroud over the land. But despite not even having the strength to brush my own hair, one day I took the form of a pig to ensnare my latest slave, the poor good Bridget. The innocent lass was out with her sheep when I made the mist come down, and so thick did I curdle it that she could not see her hand before her face. And when she heard my cloven hooves scrape the rock, she thought it was one of her sheep. And she reached out to rescue it, and I grabbed her, whisked her away through the freezing mist back to my mountain lair. I set her to milking my herd of wild deer. The year passed on, but it remained winter, for I refused new life to grow. And one day I had left Bridget fishing for me, shivering and fingers blue. The poor lass cried out for her mother as she was missing her so, and a bird, an oyster catcher, came to her. It was a druid in disguise, and he told Bridget that it was her job to save the world from me. He gave her 3 tasks, as is the way with stories. The first, find out my real name. The second, find and seal my well of renewal. The third, overcome my grip on winter. He would guide the way. So that night, Bridget feigned friendship with me and said, "You must be of great age, O Cailleach." And I, in my senility, let slip my real name in reply. Before the mountains raised their peaks, the daughter of the bones was born. And now she had my true name, Daughter of the Bones. And the next day she told the Druid, who thus named me Nick Nevin. The Druid told Bridget that now she must get some rushes from the loch's edge and weave them into a threefold star-shaped wheel and take it with her as she followed me to my secret well. This she did. For that very night I felt the pain of old age and the great need to drink the little water that remained in the well. So I took the form of a wolf and slunk out before dawn, out to my secret well, and Bridget followed, taking care to keep her distance, and she watched me as I drank the dribble of water that was left. And once I had gone, Bridget laid her starry wheel upon the lid of the well and cast a spell to seal it, saying the words that the Druid had told her. In the name of the Ancient One, Nick Nevin, I seal this well with the Star of Heaven. Heaven had come newly to the tales of my defeat, but it seemed this latest god looks down upon me from it, and takes all it takes is a human spell to seal my own earth's waters from me. Later tales told not of spells, but prayers, which are but hopeful spells. Bridget had one more task to complete, all in the name of this new heaven. The next day, in their secret meeting, the Druid told Bridget to get a switch of birch and make a wand, and use it to teach me the dance of the mill dust. I see folks dance this to this day at Imbolc, the coming of spring, but it has become a dance kinder to me than this tale was. At first I complained that I did not want to dance, for there was no music, but she had the oyster catcher with her, the Druid in disguise, and it started whistling a tune, and so I agreed to dance, and as the little water I had drunk gave me just enough energy, dance I did. A strange dance it was. We were to take turns to spare my strength. First Bridget danced, and I was to take this wand of hers and tap her on the head, hands, feet, and mouth, and she would fall down dead. And I would dance until I tired, then breathe into her mouth, and she would spring back into life. And then it would be my turn to rest in death until she woke me with her breath of life. And the tale tells that Bridget was so brave to do this, to overcome her fear that I, in my senility, would forget to breathe her back to life. But I did not forget. I tapped her with the wand. She fell dead. I danced. I tired. I breathed life back into her. And up she sprang, tapped me with the wand, and then it was my turn to die. But Bridget did not dance, nor breathe life back into me. She left me dead and turned to stone. And she left my stone corpse and went to the well, cast a spell over it, and the lid flew off, powered by her wondrous words. Nick Nevin's power is overthrown. Rise up, water from deep down stone. By spark of fire and ray of sun, may winter's whiteness be undone. The waters of renewal swept up from the earth into the sky and fell as rain to melt the smothering snow. And heaven's power brought green to the land, and heaven's men built up their churches, and Bridget became a saint to them as they drank my waters dry.